play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
You play to win the game.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
You are now locked in to the Clock Dodgers podcast.
Clock Dodgers podcast.
Welcome to the Clock Dodgers podcast. This is your host, Neal Maligno. No, you are not confused. No, you did not bump your head. You have it right. This is not Wednesday, and normally we drop our episodes every Wednesday. I know it's a little out of character. We are still dropping our episode on Wednesday with me, Josh, and Adam. That's not changing, but I want to give you guys a little extra content during the week, so maybe an episode or two during the week besides the normal Wednesday episode. What I will say is this episode will not be an hour plus long. It will not be a bunch of conversations and people debating back and forth. I just want to break down and discuss things that I see that I find important from week 3 that I think we need to either adjust with or that are important to point out and important to make sure that we adapt in any way possible, or just things that are sticking out to me, whether it's a player's situation, whether it's a strategy you need to adjust or approach this week. It could be anything at all. And some of the things that are popping out to me right now are obvious, and I want to make sure that we talk about them before it's too late. Because if you're listening to the Clock Dodgers podcast, you're listening to win your fantasy league. Let's be honest. You're winning for a different point of view than you get in other places. You're listening for some entertainment. You're listening for all this stuff, but you know we try to stay ahead of the trends. You know we take risks. You know we gamble. We don't play that safe shit. We don't play that safe scared ball. We don't play that. We do things a little differently here. So what I want to do is, number one of the most important takeaways I have for week 3 is no more waiting on players. Now, when we had Josh and Adam on the show last week, we talked about guys like Joe Mixon, Drew Brees, Odell Beckham. He's been a hot topic of conversation in fantasy circles. These guys are players that you drafted early, more than likely, or towards the higher end of your drafts. Maybe not Drew Brees, because I mean, here at least, that's Clock Dodgers. We don't believe in drafting quarterbacks early. You guys know how we do that, but still, whenever you drafted Drew Brees, a lot of times you invested in him a little earlier than you would have other quarterbacks. Either way, Drew Brees aside, Joe Mixon, Odell Beckham, these kind of guys, especially Joe Mixon, he's more of the poster boy of what I'm trying to get at right now with this conversation. I keep getting questions every week, and we talk about it on the show too, but I see them on Twitter, I see them in all the little social places that we're at, and people ask, do I keep waiting on Joe Mixon? Do I keep starting Joe Mixon? I even joked about it with someone on Twitter. I can't believe I forgot your name right now on top of my head, but you know who you are. If I can remember before the end of this episode, I will shout you out. But from my conversations of Jerick McKinnon on the podcast, he half jokingly hit me up. I think it was Says. Was it Says? I think it Says. Shout out to Says. Says at Kev Says 68. He jokingly mentioned to me, like, you keep talking about Jerick McKinnon, and this is before Jerick McKinnon had the big games, of course. But would you start him over Derrick Henry? And he was kind of like half jokingly, but serious, because Derrick Henry at one point, was struggling. I wouldn't say struggling was the word, but he was starting off slow. And I was like, Derrick Henry, I'd probably still give him another week. He's not a guy that I would push Jerick McKinnon, push him out of the way for Jerick McKinnon at this moment. But someone like Joe Mixon now, right? Joe Mixon has not done anything compared to what you were looking for when you drafted him. He has struggled mightily as far as your expectations. It just hasn't looked good. From my perspective, at this point is where I adjust. I'm not going past week 3 and still keeping you in my lineup if you're not producing. It's just not happening. If I have other guys, if I have Jerick McKinnon, if I could bump Mixon down to a flex and switch him out with a wide receiver or a tight end that's producing, I have no issue doing it at this point. You cannot keep waiting on these guys. You cannot keep hoping that, they're going to have their bounce back game. If they're going to have their bounce back game, let them do it on your bench. Don't wait. Don't cost yourself W's. I know a lot of people say, it's a long season and you only need da-da-da. Listen, do not fall behind early. There's nothing promising about that. So don't start falling back real early in the season, because it's gonna kill your mood. It's gonna kill your drive, your momentum. You're not gonna have any of it. So if you drafted them early, you built around them, I don't care what it is. They're letting you down. You just gotta replace them. Whether that means you're gonna trade them, go for it. Whether that means you're gonna start a guy who you thought was just a bench player, a sleeper, and he's producing now, and you're like, I don't feel really great about him, but he did produce last week, and he has a good matchup coming up this week, then put him in over Mixon. Stop fucking around. No more messing around. You've gave Mixon 3 weeks, and it's cost you. So at this point, guys like Joe Mixon, guys you drafted high ADP guys, I understand you love them. I understand you really have big plans for your team with them, but you cannot continue to let the ship sink because of them. This is not talking about injured players. If you have injured players, obviously it's a different story. And, when they get healthy, get them back in your lineups. But for guys who have been healthy and playing or active every week and they're not producing, you cannot continue to rely on them. With that being said, it's now takeaway 2. It's time to start believing in the players that you didn't draft early, or that you didn't draft at all, or that you thought was a sleeper, that you thought it's a lottery ticket move, right? Or, I got him as a throw-in in the deal because I kind of was feeling, rolling the dice on him, but I didn't draft him with expectations of having to start this guy on a weekly basis. It's time you start doing that. I told you guys, I've been telling you guys, Jerick McKinnon, get him in your lineup. It's happening, folks. I know he got a little beat up this week. That's fine. If he can play, you put him in your lineup. It doesn't matter. Because Jerick McKinnon, even if he doesn't get the targets and the carries that you want from like a Joe Mixon, he's still big playability. You got to have that in your lineup. Rather than hand the ball to Joe Mixon 20 times and getting nothing, let Jerick McKinney get it 5 times catching, 5 times, 10 times rushing, whatever it is, and watch him do something. Watch him break 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, touchdown. You need that big playability. You can't let a slug like Joe Mixon hold you back. James Robinson, everyone was concerned. Who is this rookie? We talked about him on the show. Is this guy really why they traded Fournette? Like, what is it? You kept wondering, right? Week 1, week 2, okay. Stop wondering. The fact is, James Robinson is getting work. James Robinson is good. The team believes in him. The coaches believe in him. Believe in him. Trust him. Put him in your lineup. If he fails, it is what it is. It's just a fact that he should be in your lineup if you have him. It is what it is. Rookies who are producing. Justin Jefferson just went off. Don't look at it and go, oh, Justin Jefferson just went off. This dude had like a bazillion yards, a touchdown. That's just a fluke game. No. Get him in your lineup. Why continue to pull along, like, dragging dead bodies just because you drafted them early? Get the rookies into your lineup who are producing. It's okay. It's okay. It's important. I stress this all the time on the podcast and conversations, whatever it is, when people are asking for advice. You got to gamble. You got to take risks. You got to take your shots. You just got to do it. So Joe Mixon ain't working out for you. Someone else you may have drafted early isn't working out for you. You're dealing with injuries. Trust these guys. Trust the guys that you drafted late as sleepers, your lottery tickets, the guys you were just rolling the dice on, the guys we've been telling you here at Clock Dodgers to put in your lineups to trust. I mean, all these guys, sure, no one's going to hit 100% of the time. No one's going to be great every single week. It's not your fault if a guy has a bad week, but you got to start trusting the guys that you didn't plan on starting all year. Things change. The opportunity, you drafted him as a sleeper, that opportunity has come to life. Don't waste it. Don't waste it on your bench. And even if you think it's going to stop or you don't think it's going to last, trade him while it's hot. Don't wait. You got to stay active. You got to adapt. You got to move. You cannot just sit there and keep resting on Joe Mixon's going to come around. The Browns are finally going to use Odell Beckham. I admit, I was a big Odell Beckham fan. I thought, if there's a revival, it's now. It's not happening. I hope they trade him. I hope they trade him because it's just not happening. I don't believe he's lacks skill. I don't believe he's lost his ability. I believe he's in a bad situation right now. I hope they trade Odell Beckham. But in the meantime, you don't keep starting him. Start a rookie. I don't give a shit. You can't be biased with this right now. You can't worry about names. You got to get W's. The last thing I wanted to mention, my third takeaway that I felt, was punching me in the face here, staring me in the face, however you say it, whatever you call it. Russell Wilson has his offense on fire. He is Mr. Unlimited. The players on that offense, their potential is unlimited. I don't want to see, do I start Tyler Lockett this week? Do I start DK Metcalf this week? I have both of them. Do I trade them? No. I have both of them. Which one do I start? Both. This dude's incredible. He's literally had his running backs looking great. Tight ends all across the board are making plays. No, they're not all killing it or crushing it, but they're getting work. They're getting some little production, which sometimes is all you need from your tight end. If you don't draft them, early, if you don't get one of the studs, you never know which one of these guys are going to hit one week or not. Catch a touchdown, it might be all you need that week. Russell Wilson's stat line looks fake. When I look it over and I read it out loud to myself, it doesn't even seem real. It doesn't seem real. He has over 900 yards in 3 games passing. That's averaging over 300 yards a game. He has 14 passing touchdowns in 3 games. He's averaging almost 5 touchdowns a game passing. He's only throwing 1 interception. So if you're in a league that deducts for interceptions, you're not hurting. He ain't killing you. This ain't Jameis Winston. It's not one of those kind of situations. He's not just throwing a lot of touchdowns, but also throwing a lot of interceptions. This dude isn't even throwing interceptions. This dude has been impeccable. It's been ridiculous. Not to mention he could run the ball. He runs every game he runs 20, 30 yards. You never know when that's a touchdown, when he breaks away a big one. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. He is ripping it up. It's beautiful to see. It's something we've all been kind of waiting for. As far as, he's always been great. He's always been awesome. But everyone's always like, man, we feel like he could be better. It's crazy as it sounds. We feel like he could do more. Well, we're seeing it. We're seeing it. It's crazy. It's crazy the production that he's put up. It's crazy the numbers he's giving guys like DK and Tyler Lockett. If you look right now at scoring leaders or just fantasy points for the season from weeks 1 through 3 right now in PPR, I'm pretty sure they both fall in the top 5. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I'm pretty sure they both fall in the top 5. That's crazy. It's crazy. They're both super talented. They both can take one big pass and make a touchdown out of it. Again, explosive playmakers. You want them on your team. Start them both. If they're in your lineup, start both. If you have both, don't trade one. Unless you're going to get somebody back who's has the potential that these two have. They're fantastic. There's no reason to see it stop. You may say he's throwing 15 touchdowns in 3 games. He can't possibly keep this up, or 14 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? He can't possibly keep. You might be right, but how far do you want to drop from that potential of what he can do, and which one of his players he can set on fire that week? It's crazy. Russell Wilson has the offense on fire. We all laugh at him. We say he's corny. Listen, that man is winning in every facet of life. In every facet of life. Financially, his family, on the football field, in your fantasy lineups. What more do you want this man to do? He has that offense on fire. Get every part of it you can, put it in your lineup, and start it. Don't question it again. Don't ask yourself again. Do I start this guy over Tyler Lockett? Do I start this guy over DK Metcalf? Can Chris Carson catch the ball? Unfortunately, he got injured this last week by some bullshit ass, soft ass players move. But besides that, come on, man. Don't ask me no questions about the Seahawks no more. Don't waste my time. Don't waste anybody's time with that. That's nonsense. All right. So as we end this episode, no more waiting on your highly drafted players to break out. They're not going to. And if they are, let them do it on your bench first. It's time to start believing in your lower drafted players, the guys you called your sleepers, the guys you drafted late, the guys you didn't draft, you just picked off waivers, the guys you got as a throw-in in a trade that you thought maybe he had something. Maybe he could have a good week or two for flex. He's your starter now. Put him in your lineup. Stop being afraid. And last, don't ever doubt Russell Wilson and the Seahawks offense again. No more asking questions who to start or sit. They all start. Having Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf on your team isn't a bad thing. It isn't a bad thing. Sure, you could diversify, trade one and diversify. I've seen worse problems on teams. I've seen worse problems. All right, guys, as always, you can hit us up on Twitter. If you have any questions, topics that you want submitted for the show, we love it when you guys do that. We use it. We do a handful every week that we get to of you guys. We love that you guys send those over. We have our episode coming out on Wednesday still. That is not changing. Wednesday is a lock every week for you guys. You don't have to worry about that. We may have another episode later in the week after that as well. If you have any suggestions, any questions, anything you have for us, please hit us up at Clock Dodgers is where you can find me. Follow us. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet and you're just listening, you're creeping on the low. You just keep searching us in the Apple Podcast store, Apple Podcast app, and you're not actually hitting subscribe on some weird stuff. That's weird, it's a little strange. So don't be so lazy, you know what I'm saying? Hit the subscribe button. You'll get the episodes as soon as they drop. Get a little jump on your league mates who aren't. If you've left a review, we got over 100 reviews now. We love every single one of y'all that left a review. It means the world to us because every time someone comes across Clock Dodgers, they do look at those reviews. I look at reviews for podcasts all the time. It sounds like something that nobody does, but they do. And you guys are who they first see. Before they hear our voice, before they read the description, before they listen to an episode, they see what you say. Shout out to y'all. Y'all are important as fuck. And everyone who retweets the show on Twitter and Instagram and shares us with their friends or their family, we love y'all. We appreciate you more than you can understand. This is everything to us. This is what we do, okay? This is more than just, oh, we just do this for fun. Nah, it's not what this is. We love doing this. It means something to us, and y'all mean something to us. Cloud Dodger families for real. Other than that, guys, I love you as always. Be kind, be great, keep dodging.